I could not wait to talk about what happened with that Rogue episode of Doctor Who. Not the fact that it's any more different than anything else that has gone on in the season. That's just simply the name of episode 6 of season 1 of ultimately 2 seasons of rebooted Disney Doctor Who. Because if you think anything's going to be happening after this, these are the death throw moves of a franchise on the brink. Okay? Trying to inflame what's left of a dwindled fan base. Trying to double down on divisive aspects, like even Star Wars, which we just talked about, isn't dumb enough to just go ahead and drag up all the stuff from The Last Jedi. Yeah, they aren't going to be decanonizing the sequels or anything like that. They don't rub it in your face. Ooh, we're eventually going to get Snoke, and ooh, eventually he's just going to get cut in half for no good reason during the middle of the second episode. Ooh, like they aren't that dumb. Doctor Who, time and time again, the one episode that everybody points to who used to be fans of New Who and now no longer are the timeless children, every single opportunity that Russell T Davies and his predecessor Chris Chibnall get, they got to just go ahead and reinforce that, yeah, you thought William Hartnell was the first Doctor, is some diverse baby that was ruthlessly murdered time and time again by a black woman in science in order to try to understand properties of regeneration. Or just do some flamboyant stuff like rip off Black Mirror very poorly, rip off Bridgerton even worse, and oh yeah, stick a big gay kiss and try to make that one of your defining scenes of your series. Like, nobody cares at this point in time. Everybody's over this crap. You can go ahead and scream from the rooftops, transphobia, homophobia, bigotry. It's like, okay, listen, man. Okay, dissect those words that you want to go ahead and throw around at everybody. Look at the slurs that you're trying to tote. It's like homophobia, transphobia. Nobody's scared of this stuff, okay? That's what phobia implies. It's like, we're all just done with it. Okay, it's not edgy, it's not cool. I don't even want to think about straight people banging at this point in time. Like, whenever I see the discourse surrounding tradcons thinking that they're morally superior for just having so many kids, I don't care, okay? I don't need to see your little trophies to prove that you banged it out a couple of times. It's like, I don't care about any of that stuff. Show me, here's a revolutionary idea. Show me the content of your character and not the products of you rubbing skin together. Can we go ahead and do that? That would be fantastic. Okay, I don't care if you want to kiss next door neighbor, your secretary, the tree in the park, or the usher that took your jacket outside of a 1700s banquet. I don't care. Most people don't care. People sit down to watch a show, watch a movie, play a video game, whatever, engage in some entertainment. I don't want to be hit over the head with what messaging the writer or the actor thinks is more important. No, man, they just want to be entertained by compelling characters, an interesting plot that gets forwarded with witty and compelling dialogue, and yeah, also engage with some superfluous elements like good set design, good costume, good makeup, all that other stuff, okay? And then in the case of video games, compelling gameplay, but that's another topic for another time, and oh boy, throughout the rest of this week, we got a fair amount of video game coverage, but I digress. Back to Doctor Who. What are they doing right now? Okay, badly ripping off other shows, other storylines from previous outings of the Doctor, and doing it incredibly poorly, very ham-handedly, and then just sticking a little gay black Rwandan guy in there and trying to say that he's the Doctor, or just simply removing him from episodes and doing some goofy creepypasta that makes zero goddamn sense. This is what you're reducing your show to. This is what you're reducing 60 years into. You're turning it into a national, well, at this point in time, international laughingstock. Good for you. Science fiction novelist and critic decries Doctor Who as full gay pornography. Interesting. I've seen clips, I've read a few reviews about this episode, and, well, I don't necessarily think that you get full-on insertion, but it's about as, close as you can get to the Skinamax alternative as you can get. It's just, it's obnoxious fan fiction. That's really what it is, man. Science fiction novelist and critic John Delarose decries Doctor Who as, yes, a full frontal tube films following the release of the most recent episode, Rogue. Delarose condemned the series as, exactly what it is. He added, that's what we have. That's all it is. That's all Russell T Davies wants. That's all Ncuti Gatwa wants. And the people are just sick. And everybody's tuning out because of it. It's done. It's complete. completely over. And you know what? He is in fact right. That's all that Ncuti Gatwa wants. The people are sick of this. That's all Russell T Davies wants, because yeah, he just ended up dropping a brand new interview. Why has Doctor Who always been so gay friendly? Has it really, or has it been? Okay, because this is what all of these freaks always want to retroactively do with all of these franchises you love. Oh, it's always been insert personal agenda here. No, not really. Here's the thing. All of these classic IPs used to just simply be written for what they like to allege where they're trying to take it. Okay, it was actually written for everyone, because whenever they say it, oh, this the Doctor Who, Star Wars, Star Trek, it's always been for everyone, and then they'll add the little caveat, so your hate doesn't belong here. No bigots allowed. But I thought it was for everyone, and let's just run it back. Okay, if somebody who is so possessed by personal politics, why would they want to engage with some simple oh wait, your entire premise is completely faulty. I understand, but Russell T Davies thinks that he knows. Well, he's the showrunner, and he's the guy who, a much different individual, okay, physically looks the same as the person who resuscitated the franchise back in the early 2000s and is now back at the helm doing completely subpar work in its stead. But now he brought a franchise back that, okay, yeah, back in the 60s, back during its first run, appealed to everybody. Look at those old ratings, man. Like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and then, well, not so much towards the end, towards Cancellation, which are still doing better numbers than what we're seeing right now, but more on the numbers very shortly. You were getting high single digits, low double digits. Hell, even with the first female Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, her premiere episode was watched by a third of the UK. Just about 12 million people tuned in for that. That is not an insignificant amount of people. Doctor Who, at one point or another, was for everyone. But now you're just simply trying to make it for a specific group of people and telling them, if you don't support our own personal agenda, you're a bigot, you're not allowed here, because this is for everyone that we're simply trying to cater to. For Doctor Who head writer Russell T Davies, watching the series in the mid-80s paralleled his feelings about himself. Oh my god, I'm done with this stuff. Being gay was the love that dare not speak its name, and Doctor Who shared. Is this all he does, man? Like, seriously. Just talk about yourself. Talk about who you want to bang all the time. It's so boring, man. This is the least entertaining and least important part of what anybody is. Their immutable characteristics. Okay, yeah, and there's some argument here. Well, you know, the born. It's like, whatever, man. Okay, bone who you want to bone. It's just, I'm tired of thinking about it. Everybody's tired of thinking about it. There's more to life than that, and if that's all you want to fall back on because you think that it's going to be some kind of a shield, that shit ain't working anymore. It was a cheap old mad science fiction show, and you couldn't say you fancied anyone. You couldn't say that you loved Doctor Who. It was a national treasure. Okay, it was something that everybody in the UK, this is what I hear, obviously, you know, not from the UK, have some ancestry from there, but obviously, okay, was not there of the time. It was a national institution. Everybody would watch when it was on. The numbers reflected that, okay? Like, let's not try to revisionist history this stuff, okay? Oh, before that, when I was a child, everyone loved Doctor Who. Wait a minute, so you couldn't say that you loved Doctor Who, but everybody loved I can see why his writing is so blatantly contradicting now. The gay writer, see, he's gay. Did you know Russell T Davies is gay, guys? He's really gay. And the creators of shows, including It's a Sin and Queer as Folk, tells the BBC in an interview before the start of the new series. But then a moment comes in secondary school when the boys peel off and start playing football and fancying girls, and you're just down there just thinking about, what about my ding-a-ling? And I was just sitting there quietly, not expressing who I was until I became an adult, still watching Doctor Who. And yeah, again, you could look at the ratings and peel back the layers and realize, gee, there were a lot of adults watching. Why are you lying? Stop lying. Russell is one of the many gay people who have been drawn to the show throughout 60-year history. And the first ever was Waris Hussein, the latest incarnation of the Dr. Ncuti Gatwa, who this year topped the Independent's Pride list of, big gay change makers. Well, that's fantastic. He definitely is making change, all right. I mean, making people change the goddamn channel. The show has also long had a large gay fan base with numerous fan groups and even drag shows celebrating the series. Yeah, that's enough of this stuff, man. It's hilarious, man. Okay, this is the BBC. They have just gone ahead and froze it right there on that frame? Well, it's a very anti-establishment for starters, which is kind of hilarious now because you take a look at everything else that's going on right now in the news in regards to enshrining all of the pride celebrations, all of the crosswalk murals that if you even if you think of having dirty footprints walk across that sacred symbol, you will be slapped with more felonies than the former president of the United States for simply even daring to desecrate such a holy, such a profound symbol of expression. Who exactly is the establishment now? In this point in time, who of the two groups, straight and gay, okay, let's just go ahead and make a binary because those people love that word so much. Let's just see who has multiple months dedicated to their own perverse bedroom activities. Oh, okay, that's one side of the aisle. What is it? This Sunday, I guess, is one of two celebrations of straight pride and Father's Day and Mother's Day. Okay, outside of that, like, there a Parents' Day of visibility because there's a Trans Day of visibility. You've got the entire Pride Month to go ahead and, pay reverence to the whole spectrum. What about the day that the Supreme Court acknowledged same-sex marriage? Okay, that's another holy day that's on the list. Those are the ones that just immediately come to the top of my mind. And I think over in the UK, February is also Gay Pride Month. So you have multiple months, multiple individual days spread across the calendar. And I think October or September is Trans Appreciation Month, which, I don't know, single-handedly keeping rope stores in business. I don't know if that's necessarily worthy of an entire month, but hey, you do you. 42% of the time, you can't be wrong. But that's who you want? That's your audience. That's who you're trying to hone in on. Nothing wrong with being gay. Nothing wrong with being straight. You do you. Just don't want to have to think about it. Don't want to have it rubbed in our faces all the time. Having big gay sloppy kisses on the screen appeals to a very, 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 very small minority of people. Hell, even having big sloppy kisses between two relatively attractive men and women, I'm not even that plussed about it. Hey, you want to watch that type of stuff? There are certain websites and then there are certain premium channels that you can still get on cable if you'd like to go ahead and see that and even more. They're just a couple of clicks away. Stop putting it in all of our entertainment. Can we get to that point in time? Okay, can we stop thinking about people following their most basal of instincts? Can we get past that? No, apparently not, because Doctor Who, Russell T Davies is going to be going down with the ship on this one because we got the ratings, we got the overnights, and we also have the +7s from that Dot and Bubble episode, and brother, we have hit the stage of pure and total apathy. I was wrong in thinking that episode 6 would end up dipping below 2 million viewers. I guess we're probably going to have to wait until next year in order to see that stuff, or I guess the second half of this year when season 2 and ultimately the conclusion of Gatwa's Doctor, because let's be honest, unless Disney floats another $100 million to keep this abomination going, 2 million views overnight ain't gonna cut it. Because that boost from Stephen Moffat coming back and ripping off some of his old content, yeah, that bolstering in the ratings didn't end up sticking around. And it's almost like because Doctor Who heard a little insight on this, I can't really confirm it or not, but it does seem to bore out reasonably well. But episode 4 ended up premiering right after the FA Cup, the Manchester Derby, okay? So it might have ended up getting a little bit of bleed over from that, leading to the quote-unquote record-breaking viewership if you're over a Collider, or just the, wow, that is still incredibly bad, but I guess it's tallest midget in this situation. 2.62 million overnight, because you look at the rest of the +7 numbers and 1.1 million people ended up tuning in, which seems to be holding true throughout the rest of the season. Nobody bothered, man. Nobody bothered to continue to watch this stuff. There is no growing audience here. In fact, there's a dwindling audience. That must be a typo or something like that, where you'd get the +4 screens, because that should theoretically end up being the larger number for episode 5. Or if it's not a typo and in fact you ended up getting the +4, that's real bad, because episode 5 could still, theoretically, you take a look at the rest of those numbers, knowing that there's about a 300,000 to 400,000 viewership difference, you could have the +7, so individual households not even hitting 3 million viewers. That would definitely be something, man. I'm kind of thinking that's going to end up being a typo, and that just ends up showing you just how few people are actually down with this overtly sexualized message of Doctor Who, the little rinky-dink sci-fi show that Russell T Davies used to be scared of saying he was still a fan of in his adulthood and is now butchering it as he heads into his retirement years. Kind of crazy, man. 2.11 million people heading into your 2-part season finale. How are those ticket numbers doing over there at those select theaters? I bet you none of them have sold out. I bet you it's going to be an experience nonetheless. I look forward to checking in on part 1 of the season finale by the end of the week and all in due time, because it's sad to see yet another once beloved franchise reduced to a point of just sheer mockery, because that's the only point in time where anybody gets any sort of pleasure in its absolutely anemic state. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.